What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. It's Friday evening here, December 1st. Happy December. I'm going to get you guys ready for week 13. We're going to go over my start-sit charts, and we'll talk about some of the practice news and all the final weekly practice updates that we need to get you guys prepared for. Let's hop right into a screen share. And there will be a link in the description of this video. I'll probably post it in the comments as well if you do want to check it out. Let's hop right into it with the Sunday early games. You have the Colts, 2-point favorites on the road in Tennessee, which is interesting. 46.5 implied for this game here. Let's click into those practice reports for each team. I think we're in good shape. You know, obviously Jonathan Taylor's out, but otherwise the Colts offense looks to be in pretty good shape here. On the Tennessee side of things, I think we're just looking at Treylon Burks. And Treylon Burks practiced in full Thursday and Friday. He's coming back soon, maybe not this week. I think he still needs the clear concussion protocol, but we'll watch for that. Otherwise, both teams in relatively good health for fantasy football. Now, the Colts, I think Gardner Minshew can be used as a QB2 for super flex leagues. You're starting Zach Moss if you have him. Try and get him in there as a running back too, at least. I do think he has top 10 upside at the position this week, just with the volume alone. Michael Pittman Jr. is in your lineup, and then I think you want to try and find a way to get Josh Downs in there as your wide receiver 3 flex in a full PPR leagues. Maybe the Colts defense, but probably not. And then we're just going to leave Pearson Granson here on the bench. I have, over the last couple of weeks, I've started to add the fantasy points allowed to the bottom of the charts here. So Tennessee, they're pretty much average against quarterback here. They rank 17th, giving up about 16.5 points per game to the position here. So I do like Minshew in DraftKings DFS and things like that. I think he's a decent play this week. And the Titans, you know, they're okay against, you know, running back. They were really good earlier in the year. They've kind of been giving up some running back points here. So I do like Moss. And then they are really generous to wide receivers, and they're really good against tight ends. So play Pittman, play Downs, Moss, and then maybe Minshew. On the Titan side of things, Will Levis is maybe a super flex QB2. I think you're starting Derrick Henry, and he's like the lock from this team. Otherwise, Hopkins maybe as a wide receiver 3 flex, and then maybe Tajay Spears in deeper leagues. Probably not interested in the defense. Chig Okonkwo, Treylon Burks. The Colts defense is not great. They rank average or in the bottom half of pretty much every statistical category. So I do like the matchup here for Derrick Henry. Maybe DeAndre Hopkins can hit his floor, but it's an interesting matchup here. We'll see an AFC South showdown here. Can the Colts keep winning games and stay, you know, in the playoff hunt? We'll see. Let's move on to the Chargers and the Patriots. Yuck. Chargers are 6-point road favorites here. 41 implied in this one. It's going to be a low-scoring, ugly game. The Chargers defense, obviously, it's pretty bad. They rank 25th or worst in all 4 positions here in fantasy points allowed per game. I think Ramondre Stevenson's the only guy that's a must start as a running back 2 flex in full PPR leagues and other formats. Demario Douglas ruled out already, so that's going to leave Devontae Parker as the wide receiver 1. If you need help at the wide receiver 3 flex position, you know, with all the bye weeks this week, he might be of service to you, but otherwise I'm not using the defense. I'm not using Bailey Zappi in super flex leagues. I'm not interested in this Patriots offense despite the matchup at home. On the Chargers side, it's pretty simple. I think you're going with Herbert, Eckler, and Keenan Allen. I don't need to tell you guys to play these players here. I do want to pull up the practice reports and see what's going on with the Chargers, because Gerald Everett's been, you know, kind of in and out of the lineup throughout the year, but he's in full practice all week. I think he can be streamed as a tight end 1 again with the bye weeks. You might be kind of, you know, stressed out at the tight end spot. So Everett makes a little bit of sense here. And that's pretty much it, man. I think the Chargers defense is startable if you need someone in an emergency. I'm not starting Guyton, and I'm not starting QJ. I'm not starting Josh Kelly or Donald Parham. So it's kind of an ugly game. You know, Herbert, Eckler, Keenan Allen, and Ramondre are the guys that you want in your lineup, but we'll move on to a more exciting game, hopefully, here. The Lions at the Saints. Lions 4-point favorites coming off a bad Thursday Thanksgiving loss. 45.5 implied in this one. Let's double check because there's injuries on both sides here, especially New Orleans. Let's look at that one because we're kind of watching the health of Chris Olave here. He left last week with the concussion. He's full practice today. I think he's going to play. You know, limited yesterday, limited on Wednesday, and a full practice today. I would say he's done enough here to play in this game here. So I think if you're holding out for Olave, it looks good. Obviously, Rashid Shaheed already ruled out. Kendra Miller already ruled out. That's pretty much it. On the Lions side of things, I think they're actually in good shape here. Nobody on offense that we need to really worry about. They did give David Montgomery a limited tag on Wednesday, but full, and then they actually removed his injury tag, so he's good to go. So fantasy points allowed. The Lions, man, they're really good against running backs, but they're bad against QB, wide receiver, and tight end. So, I think Derek Carr, QB2 for Superflex League. You're still going to start Alvin Kamara. You're going to play Olave if you have him. And then I do think Taysom Hill can be streamed as a starting tight end, and Juwan Johnson, just with the, down Rashid Shaheed, down Michael Thomas. Maybe Juwan Johnson's the second or third target in this game here. And then if you are in a deeper league, A.T. Perry could be picked up and put on the bench. Probably not going to play the Saints D, though. We'll leave all these other jokesters on the bench. The Saints defense, let's take a look at this unit here. They're allowing tight end points. They rank 21st here. So I do like Sam Laporta in this one. Otherwise, they're top 10 in all three: quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. Excuse me. Quarterback, though, they allow about 15 points per game. I think Jared Goff is more, a super flex QB2 option. I don't really know if I trust him as a QB1. For running backs, I think you're still starting Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They are the lifeblood and heartbeat of this offense. And then receiver, yeah, it's a tough matchup, but Amon-Ra St. Brown's not going on our bench. So continue to start, your lines. It's pretty simple. Goff is a super flex guy. Gibbs and Monty, they can both kind of be, fringe RB1s. I think that's kind of where I would rather rank them. And then, yeah, Laporta and Brown are in your lineup. The Lions defense is startable. I don't think the Saints offense scares us a ton. Keep monitoring Khalif Raymond's, Josh Reynolds, and Jameson Williams. But interesting game here. The Lions, they're still atop the NFC North. They're coming off a bad loss. The Saints, they need to stay, in the hunt in the playoffs and the NFC South as well. So interesting game there in the NFC landscape. Falcons and Jets, yucky. Falcons 3-point road favorites, 34.5. This one's really ugly, low scoring. Let's take a peek here at the injury reports for Atlanta. Atlanta's in good shape. Nobody to worry about here. And then the New York Jets. I know Breece Hall was on the injury report all week with a hamstring. They're saying questionable for Dalvin Cook, questionable for Israel Abanikanda. So the running backs are limping into this one just a little bit. You have Breece Hall, full practice today, so he's fine with the hamstring. But otherwise, a lot of names on this list here. So the Jets, a lot of full practices today, though, but they are kind of limping into this one a little bit. So Falcons, I think for me, this Jets defense, it's really good, but they can't stop the run. They allow the 28th most running back points per game here. This is a good matchup for Bijan Robinson. So you're playing Bijan and then Drake London. It's a tough matchup. The Jets are the second best against wide receivers here. So I like the Jets defense in this one. It's going to be a lot of Bijan Robinson. If you need Drake London, he's a wide receiver 3 flex. You can start the Falcons defense, though. We're going to leave Ritter, Pitts, Jonnu, Algier, all these guys here on the bench. It's pretty much just Bijan and then maybe Drake London. Let me know if you have questions there. For the Jets offensively, I think Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson are the only two you guys are considering. They're both, Breece is a RB2. Wilson is a wide receiver 3 flex. He's actually continuing to play pretty well. He's had one bad game all year, so I still like Garrett Wilson. The Falcons defense, though, it's sneaky good. They do allow quarterback, though, points and tight end points. They're top 10, though. Actually, they rank second against running back and 8th against wide receiver. So it's tough matchups for Breece and Wilson. We'll see if Tyler Conklin or Tim Boyle can make some moves there at the tight end and quarterback position. But ugly game here. This is probably the worst noon game of the weekend. Falcons -3. Start Bijan, start Breece and Wilson, maybe Drake London. Moving on to the Cardinals and the Steelers. I'm actually excited about this game. Let's pull up the practice reports here. The Cardinals are hurt. Alrighty, so I don't know what's going on with Marquise Brown. He's got a heel injury, did not practice Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Yet they're labeling him questionable. They did not rule him out, so he's going to go through. Warm-ups on Sunday morning, so we'll watch for that. And I will be doing a live show on Sunday morning if you guys want to hang out. I go live at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. We'll cover all the actives and answer any questions you guys have. But I don't know what's going on with Marquise Brown. With that being said, they did rule out Michael Wilson. You have Zach Pascal questionable. So that's going to leave Trey McBride, Greg Dortch, and Rondale Moore potentially as the top receivers in this one. I do think Rondale Moore should probably be owned in deeper leagues, but Greg Dortch needs to be picked up right now as well. He's been playing good, double digits the last 2 games in a row. We'll see about Marquise Brown. Otherwise, McBride's fine. The running backs are healthy. Let's take a peek here at the Pittsburgh Steelers. And nobody ruled out. Steelers are actually in decent shape for this one. Deontay Johnson had a day off on Thursday, full practice today. Overly not concerned about this. It's looking pretty good here. On the Cardinals side, well, first of all, the Steelers are 5.5-point favorites at home, 40 implied. We're excited about this offense a little bit now. You're going to play both Warren and Najee because Cardinals defense is bad. They rank 31st here against running backs. They also allow quarterback points here, so I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny Pickett's a nice quarterback 2 option in Superflex leagues. Play Jaylen Warren, play Najee. I think you want to continue to play Deontay, Pat, and George Pickens. Let me know if you guys have questions. I know Deontay and George are kind of annoying flex plays, but I think they can have a decent matchup in this one. And then start the Steelers defense. Excuse me. Start the Steelers defense in this one. It's at home. It's a low-scoring game, 5.5-point favorites again. We're not super scared of the Cardinals offense. And then, for the Cardinals side, like the Steelers are pretty good here. They rank really good against QB. They're kind of average against running back and receiver, and then they are pretty stingy against tight end. So Kyler Murray, more of a QB2 for Superflex leagues. I think he can be a fringe QB1. You're probably still starting James Conner, but he doesn't really quite have that RB1 upside that he did earlier in the year when he was healthy. Again, Marquise Brown, we'll see if he is going to play on Sunday morning. You're playing Trey McBride if you have him. And then again, even if Marquise Brown plays, I still think Greg Dortch can be of use to you. I'd rather play Greg Dortch over Rondale Moore. I think Greg Dortch is going to be on a lot of my DraftKings lineups this weekend. So keep an eye for Marquise Brown's injury, saying no to the Cardinals defense. And then, hey, pick up Michael Carter. If you guys play in a PPR league, a 12-team PPR league, pick Michael Carter up. He might be the third down back going forward. So interesting game here. We'll see if the Cardinals can steal one on the road or if the Steelers can keep on winning. Dolphins at Commanders, -10 here for the Dolphins on the road. High point total of 50.5. This is one of the highest scoring games of the weekend. I think both teams are in pretty good health for fantasy-wise here. Let's take a peek here. It's a lengthy list here for the Dolphins, but they haven't ruled anybody out. They got a couple guys questionable, a lot of offensive linemen questionable here, but I think they're going to be fine. Tua's healthy. Raheem Mostert's been limited the last 2 days. Tyreek Hill limited the last 2 days. And Devon Achane full practice today. So he's playing. If we go look at the Commanders real quick. Nice list for the Commanders. Really nobody to worry about here. So this is looking good for their health. Now, with that being said, the Commanders are the worst team against quarterbacks. They ranked 31st against wide receivers. They do allow running back and tight end points as well. But you want to take advantage of the Tyreek, Waddle, and Tua. You're playing all these guys here. You're playing Raheem Mostert if you have him too. I know Devon Achane's back, but I still want to give Mostert the benefit of the doubt. He's been a touchdown machine all year. And then with Devon Achane, man, like I'm a little bit nervous. I wouldn't mind benching him, especially if you have good options ahead of him. I wouldn't mind letting him, get back into the fold here. I don't think he's going to come in and get a bunch of carries after, he was on IR. He came back and got hurt right away in that first quarter. And we haven't seen him for a couple games now. So I think I'm being cautious with Achane. I think he's more of an RB2 flex. I do think the Dolphins defense is startable. Wilson Jr. and Braxton Berrios on the bench there. The Dolphins defense is not that great. So I do think there's some options for the Commanders to have some fantasy points here. The Dolphins are allowing the 18th most points per game to the quarterback. They rank 24th against wide receiver and 23rd against tight end. A little bit stingier against the running backs. Now, with that being said, Sam Howell, I view him more as a QB2, but he can be a streaming starting tight end or quarterback 1. Continue playing Brian Robinson. He's been getting a lot of volume, and hey, he's been catching a lot more passes than I think people expected. You're playing Terry McLaurin. I think you're playing Logan Thomas if you need to start him. And then Curtis Samuel, man, he had a great game on Thanksgiving. You're playing Samuel, maybe Jahan Dotson and Antonio Gibson in the flex, RB2 flex for Gibson if you need it. I think it's going to be high scoring. Tyreek's not going to get – Tyreek might go for 200 and a couple touchdowns in this one. So I think this game's going to be one of the more exciting games. It's probably going to be on the Red Zone channel quite a bit. So make sure you get players in this in your DraftKings lineup and some exposure in other formats. Broncos at the Texans. Texans 3-point favorites here at home, 46.5. Let's take a peek at those practice reports. Alrighty, Jerry Jeudy, full practice today. He didn't practice Wednesday, limited Thursday, full practice. He's good to go. Marvin Mims, full practice today. Looks like he's good to go. Overall, nothing concerning here for the Broncos. On the Texans side, we know their receivers have been dinged up. Noah Brown, questionable. He didn't practice today, which is weird after limited Wednesday and Thursday. Dalton Schultz has been ruled out, so we'll talk about Brevin Jordan in a second. CJ Stroud is listed as full participant all week, and Tank Dell didn't practice on Wednesday, limited the last 2 days here. Otherwise, Robert Woods DNP with a non-injury. So we're watching for Noah Brown. It looks like everything else looks fine. If we go look at the Texans offense, you're playing CJ Stroud. I think you're playing Devin Singletary as a low-end RB2, especially in PPR leagues. He kind of took over that third down role last week. You're playing Tank Dell. I think you're playing stream Brevin Jordan. If you need a tight end, the Broncos here, they rank dead last against the tight end position. They rank dead last against running backs and tight ends. So I'm open to Singletary as a RB2. I'm open to Brevin Jordan as a top 10, top 12 tight end this weekend. And then Nico Collins, man, he's going to have a tough matchup against Pat Surtain Jr., but I think he can be a wide receiver 3 flex. Maybe the Texans defense, but probably not. Again, Dalton Schultz out, Noah Brown questionable. I don't trust Dameon Pierce. I still think he should be held on to on the bench in deeper leagues. On the Broncos side, it's pretty simple. I think Russell Wilson's super flex only. Javonte Williams is kind of a low-end RB2 play. Cortland Sutton's in your lineup as a wide receiver 3 flex. And then Jerry Jeudy's like a true flex bench decision here. So let me know if you have Broncos questions. But Texans defense, man, they're okay. They rank 23rd in points allowed here to the quarterback. So I do like Russell Wilson. I also don't mind Javonte Williams and maybe even Samaje Perine. If you guys want to pick him up and stash him, I think he's looking good the last couple games. And then keep an eye on Greg Dulcich here. So Broncos, Texans, man. Broncos coming in hot. Texans are already hot. This game is probably one of the more fun early games of the weekend. Let's move on to the Sunday late games, and we'll be quick with this one. Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's look at the Panthers injury reports. Of course, they just fired Frank Reich. Overall here, Hayden Hurst ruled out. Jonathan Mingo, full practice today. Offense looks fine. Nothing really too worrisome here. If we go look at Tampa Bay, I know Chris Godwin is a true question mark here. They've already ruled out Levante David and Jamel Dean, so Tampa Bay's defense a little bit dinged up here. And Devin White's been ruled out. Wow. And Mike Green. So Godwin's the one for fantasy, though. Questionable, the neck injury. He was limited on Thursday, DNP today. Doesn't look good for Godwin. It might be a big Mike Evans day for you guys. So Buccaneers side, they're 6-point favorites at home, 37.5 total implied in this one. Baker Mayfield's a super flex QB2. You're playing Rachaad White and you're playing Mike Evans. I don't think Godwin's going to play, so you might not have to worry about that decision. I don't know if I trust Godwin even if he does play. And then start the Bucs defense. And maybe if Godwin doesn't play, that might make Cade Otton an interesting tight end 1 streamer. The Panthers do allow a ton of running back points. So I like White. And again, if no Godwin, I like Evans quite a bit. Tampa Bay's defense allows quarterback, receiver, and tight end points. I just don't know if the Panthers have the juice to take advantage of this. So I don't have Bryce Young as a super flex play. If you need him, I suppose he's fine. But otherwise, Thielen and Chuba Hubbard, these guys are both kind of flexes. RB2 flex for Chuba, wide receiver 3 flex for Thielen. Let me know if you have questions on the Panthers. Overall, not too excited about this game. I'm kind of excited for this game. Browns and the Rams here. Rams 4.5-point favorites at home, 39.5. The Browns, man, they're going with Joe Flacco. So I have Joe Flacco ranked as a super flex QB2. If you need help there, man, he's going to throw the ball a lot. I do think Jerome Ford's a running back too. Cooper says he's going to play. He had the rib injury last weekend, and I think he did not practice Wednesday, but he was limited the last 2 days. Limited Thursday and Friday. He says he's going to play, so I believe him that he's going to be out there. Otherwise, that was really the only other major injury that I was watching. Of course, Dorian Thompson-Robinson ruled out with the concussion. And then, hey, Denzel Ward ruled out the cornerback here for the Browns. Otherwise, David Njoku has been a top 5 tight end the last 5 games or so. So you're playing Njoku. I think if you have Cooper, I might want to try and get him in there. Elijah Moore, if again, with Joe Flacco out there, he might just throw the ball 40 times. I think Elijah Moore is a PPR wide receiver 3 flex. You can start the Browns defense. I'm going to leave Hunt and then keep an eye on Cedric Tillman. He's the clear number 3 receiver in this offense. With Cooper dinged up, you know, he might be someone to note in the future. On the Rams side, let's look at their injury report. It's actually not that long. They've already ruled out a safety. Cooper Kupp's been practicing in full all week, and then it's nice to see Puka Nacua not even on the list. So what do you do here? Because the Browns are just so good. They rank 1st against wide receiver, 1st against tight end, 3rd against QB, and 12th against running back. Well, I think you're playing Kieran Williams for sure. Matthew Stafford maybe as a super flex QB2. This offense kind of came to life last weekend with Stafford throwing, I think it was 4 touchdowns and having his best game of the season. So there's some momentum here with the Rams. And you know what's crazy is like they didn't even like use Cooper Kupp or Nakua last weekend, and they still threw 4 touchdowns. So I think Cooper Kupp and Nakua, I'm going to try and get them in my lineups as wide receiver 3 flexes. The Rams defense is startable. I think Tutu Atwell maybe could even be flexed if you want. He's a big play threat. I don't trust Tyler Higbee. He did catch 2 touchdowns last weekend, but I just don't trust it. And then Royce Freeman could be stashed as a handcuff to Kieran Williams. But fun game here. The Rams sitting at 5-6. They're just 1 game out of the playoff race right now. And Cleveland still trying to hang on to their final playoff spot. Now we're going to get to what I think is the game of the day here, game of the week, 49ers at Philadelphia. 49ers are 2.5-point road favorites here against Philly. 47 implied in this one. Start everybody. This is the game you want to attack in DraftKings and DFS. I think Brock Purdy is a QB1. Obviously, you're playing Christian McCaffrey. You got to get Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel in your lineups, and then George Kittle, of course. 49ers, that's what I like about these teams. They're really simple. We know who's getting the ball. We know that we just have to leave these guys in our lineups every week. I probably don't want to play either defense in this one, San Fran or Philly. I think this game, again, with 47 points implied in this one, that's going to basically be like, what, 24-22-ish, 24-23. You know, I think it's one of these teams. The winner probably has 30 points or close to it. So you guys can stash Elijah Mitchell. Keep an eye on Juwan Jennings in case Ayuk or Deebo get hurt. On the Eagles side, Dallas Goedert got a practice in today, which is very, very nice. He's listed as doubtful. I don't think he's going to play this weekend, but hey, week 14, it's looking like Dallas Goedert's back. And I know there's a little bit of a rumor where Zach Ertz might sign with the Eagles. We'll see what happens when that does. But either way, I'm optimistic that Goedert's going to be back out there next weekend. You're obviously playing Hurts, DeAndre Swift, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. Continue playing these studs here. And then, yeah, say no to the Eagles defense. And then just continue to monitor Kenneth Gainwell. If anything happens to Swift, Gainwell is going to be the guy that we're looking for. But the Eagles defense, man, they rank 31st against QB and 32nd against wide receiver. So I have a very good and 25th against tight end. So I like Purdy, Ayuk, Samuel, and Kittle. That's been the matchup I've been attacking in setting up my DraftKings lineups and in other lineups as well. So enjoy this one. This one's got number 1 NFC seed on the line here. Great game. Sunday Night Football, Chiefs at the Packers. Packers winning 3 of their last 4 games, having some momentum here. Chiefs are 6.5-point road favorites, 42.5 implied. It's a little bit low scoring here. Chiefs offense has been kind of stuck in neutral the last couple of weeks here, but I still think you're starting Mahomes, you're starting Pacheco. He's actually probably my favorite play on the Chiefs in this one. The Packers are pretty solid against QB, receiver, and tight end. They do allow running back points, though. So Pacheco probably going to be the focal point of this offensive attack. You can play Rashee Rice as a wide receiver 3 flex. You're playing Kelsey, obviously. And then in deeper leagues, I do like Justin Watson. Chiefs defense is startable. They're one of the better teams in the league right now. They're probably a top 5, top 10 defense. And then monitor Sky Moore. I think McKinnon's going to play. He was practicing this week. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire just on the bench here. And I believe Kadarius Toney's going to play. On the Packers side, Jordan Love's probably just a quarterback 2 for Superflex leagues. If you need to stream him as a QB1, I think he's going to be, right between QB 12 and 15, somewhere in that range. You can play A.J. Dillon just as a volume play. He's going to probably touch the ball 15 times. I don't know what's going on with Jaden Reed. He didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. He was limited on Friday. Aaron Jones has already been ruled out. I think with Jaden Reed, Watson, and Dobbs, it's kind of like playing whack-a-mole. All 3 receivers are wide receiver 3 flexes. And Reed's been the most consistent one all season long. Dobbs has to catch a touchdown to be relevant. And I think Christian Watson has some momentum going right now. So I do like taking a shot on Reed, Watson, or Dobbs, even though the Chiefs defense is pretty good against wide receivers. They rank 9th best, under 30 points per game to the wide receiver position. Maybe the Packers defense, again, the Chiefs offense has not been fantastic, and the Packers do actually rank okay in all the categories here. If you need a tight end streamer, I suppose Tucker Kraft can be someone that you look at. But again, the Chiefs are pretty good against tight end. And then monitor Dontavian Wicks. If you don't have him in a dynasty league yet, go check and see if he's available, because I like what he can do as the number 4 receiver. But fun game here. We'll see if the Packers can steal another game from a good team here. It's in Green Bay. Anything can happen. We'll see. Fun Sunday night, though. And we're going to finish with a not-so-fun Monday Night Football game here. Bengals at the Jags. Did Travis Etienne practice today? He was the one we were watching all week, and I believe a lot of people picked up A lot of people picked up Dearness Johnson this week, but Travis Etienne limited the last 2 days. I think he's going to be fine. So what do we do here? The Bengals, they're just a below average defense here. They do allow a lot of tight end points, so I like Evan Ingram. Otherwise, I think, yeah, you're playing Lawrence, Etienne. I think you got to continue to play Ridley and Kirk, and then you're playing Evan Ingram. So very easy. Jaguars, we know what they're doing on offense. We know the players that they're going to use. Start the Jags defense as well. Keep an eye on Zay Jones. He's back and he's in the mix. And then I do think Dearness Johnson, now that Etienne's got the chest injury, you want to pick up Dearness Johnson if you can. The Jags defense does allow quarterback points, receiver points. So can Jake Browning do something here? I do think he's a quarterback too in super flex leagues. I'm open to him being a top 24 QB this weekend. I think if you have Mixon, you can play him. You know, volume might be there. Jamar Chase, I think you're going to continue to play him. I'm not sure on what to do with T. Higgins. T. Higgins was practicing this week. I just want to see if he was full today. Full practice today, limited on Thursday. Nothing on Wednesday because they don't practice on Wednesday for Monday Night Football. But T. Higgins on track to play. I think if you're trying to hold out for him, he's a wide receiver 3 flex. I would prefer not playing him in this one and letting him, see what he looks like before I trust him out there. Otherwise, probably not using the Bengals defense. Tyler Boyd and Tanner Hudson, leave these guys on the bench here. Not a very fun Monday Night Football game. But hey, man, last night was fun. Thursday Night Football, fantastic game for fantasy football. So, but there you go. That's our Week 13 start sit. I will be doing a live show Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. If you guys want to hang out with me, please do. We'll go over again all of the practice reports and all the late inactives, actives, and I'll answer any questions you guys have. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. A lot of college football games on tomorrow. Enjoy it. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Peace.